Okay, so welcome, Mr. Artur Górniewski, historian and Chopin enthusiast. Thank you very much for joining me.
Good morning, John. It's a pleasure of mine to have this possibility to tell you about Polish history in context of Frédéric Chopin, or about Frédéric Chopin in context of cosmopolitan world that knew about him perfectly.
Let's just move tack now, and would like to sort of discuss Chopin's life outside of Poland. And so, I mean, first of all, could you tell us, why did Chopin decide to leave Poland?
The tables have turned. His father emigrated to Poland, so to find a good job. Many people from Germany were emigrating to Poland, Prussia, like Polish famous chocolate company, Wedel company. How about Nikolai Copernicus' parents, who moved from Prussia to Poland as well? Next to Warsaw's old town, one of the terraced houses is called John's terraced house, by the way, gentlemen who emigrated from Scotland, many people from Spain, most of them Jewish. That's why Warsaw was biggest Jewish agglomeration in a moment when World War II started, which proves the fact that people from all over Europe were emigrating to Poland. But it all changed. People started to emigrate from Poland because of our geopolitical situation. In a moment when in English history books we open a chapter of industrialization, this is a moment when Poland loses the independence to Russia, Prussia and Austria. Warsaw is mostly affected by Russia. Frédéric Chopin emigrates because of mentioned Tsar Alexander I, November uprising that was about to happen in 1830, so that Frédéric Chopin emigrates 2 months before that uprising. He picks Paris. He speaks fluent French. Paris is the heart of cultural Europe, and actually the fact that Frédéric Chopin emigrated to Paris was very important for Polish independence eventually, because everyone knew that Frédéric Chopin comes from Poland. Everyone knew that his masterpieces are inspired by Polish countryside folk music. Everyone was hearing him saying, "I left my heart in Warsaw." And everyone knew that there was no Poland on the maps in these days. We were waiting 123 years so to get our independence back, which occurred in a moment when World War I ended. 11 o'clock of 11th day of 11th month, Treaty of Versailles is adopted. Poland once again appears on the maps, and Frédéric Chopin is the father of Polish culture, is one of the reasons why we didn't lose our identity during 5 generations. Imagine, not your parents, not grandparents, not great-grandparents, but great-great-grandparents of yours were living in an independent country of yours, so how is it possible that you know your language, which was forbidden for some time in here? How is it possible that you know your culture? It's thanks to people like Frédéric Chopin. It's thanks to people like John Ignacy Paderewski, and that was the first US superstar before World War I. US president bought him an apartment next to Fifth Avenue because Paderewski was performing Chopin in an amazing way. In these days, in days with no tattoos, ladies in the US were wearing stockings with his notes drafted on them because they adored Paderewski so much. Paderewski became first Polish prime minister in a moment when Poland got back the independence. Paderewski financed the Bristol Hotel that's located right next to our presidential palace, so where Frédéric Chopin performed first. Paderewski financed reconstruction of St. Roch Church in Brochów, where Frédéric Chopin was baptized. His parents got married, and his older sister Ludwika got married as well. Another famous personality, Artur Rubinstein. The only person who's buried in Golan Hills in Israel. He's claimed to catch in the best way casus of Polish history because he really understood Polish history and he really understood Frédéric Chopin. That's why he's claimed to be the best performer of Frédéric Chopin music.
During his time living in Paris, Chopin built up a network of wealthy people he would give piano lessons to, and he was quite a modest character. However, he wouldn't ask them for money, and instead his pupils would leave money on the mantelpiece while he turned away. Could you expand on that a little bit?
Frédéric Chopin Incorporated. This is how I would call the company that he was running with his own hands. And the way he was doing it was classy. It was sophisticated and refined. In nowadays world, sometimes when we are providing or we are provided services, we acknowledge that in some cases we are asked for money so clearly, and in some cases you just know that you should behave. And his clients knew that they just should behave in a proper way. Yes, he was modest. Yes, he wouldn't ask for money. Yes, he would turn around for the second. So in nowadays circumstances, $200 US for 1 hour, that was the price of his time in Paris. And after some performance, after a meeting, if there was a lady around, he would just take a tissue and write on it a short poem as a thank you from him. Such original tissues we can find in Frédéric Chopin Institute nowadays in Warsaw. Frédéric Chopin was also connected with Pleyel, piano producer, and imagine the way, imagine the business that he was doing with this company. He was just trying the piano out, and if he liked it, he said, okay, you can put my name of it, and this is how I'll be given 5% if you sell it eventually. And the price of such piano was a little bit higher than the price with no Frédéric Chopin signature on it.
Just sort of expanding on Chopin and his shy character, he played a total of around 30 public concerts in his, throughout his life. 5 of those were in Britain during a 7-month visit. But he preferred to play to sort of small gatherings of wealthy Parisians. Could you explain to us more about that? And why is it that he chose this method?
He had this personal touch. The way he was composing, very individual way. The way he was performing as well. And that's why he was one of the kind. And his life, which was like a circle, which was about ups and downs, represents best history of Poland, which has been like a circle as well, which is about ups and downs too. And people in his days understood him, and he understood the people around him. He was Polish, but he was cosmopolitan. Whenever you would put him on entire planet Earth, he would feel just comfortable over there. Cyclation of Frédéric Chopin's life represents best cyclation of Polish history. That's why he's highly appreciated not only in Poland, but all over the world.
So he did, though, play for Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. However, the Queen rarely spoke to anybody, but actually spoke to him twice.
If only he lived a little bit longer, then the 3rd and the 4th time would occur as well.
Why do you think, though? Why is it that, you know, although she chose not to speak to many people and doesn't seem particularly sociable with strangers, why is it you think that his character somehow appealed to her?
It's an amazing compliment. It's an situation that confirms the character and the personal attitude of Frédéric Chopin to every single person he meets. That's why he didn't want to reach the crowd. He wanted to reach the people. Also, some of his masterpieces that he composed were about particular people or about particular skill when it comes to your piano skills, abilities. It makes us so proud that he was chosen by so many people to be the one. And yes, he's the one for all of us.
Chopin is one of Poland's favorite sons for his acclaimed groundbreaking music and its Polish character. And although born, raised and educated in his home country, it was when he traveled west that he really started to make a name for himself.